I call what I do the symmetry of happiness model or living in symmetry. It's based on what I've named the symmetry principle. A child is just so naturally connected when they come in to themselves, to whatever's going on in their bodies, to others, starting to get eye contact, starting to connect, to the life that shows up, just dealing with it as it is, just fully present and engaged, asking for, even screaming for what they want, not censoring their needs or holding on to resentment or trying to second guess what somebody else needs before they ask for what they need. And then something happens, usually at a much younger age than this girl, but where an event takes place where the survival driven mind creates some version of what I call the one story behind all emotional pain, which is in order to get this need met, to be happy, safe, comfortable, fed, free, loved, I need blank. I need this moment to be different than it is. And that starts from, we're so dependent on parents and things, and something that happens where the mind goes, uh-oh, something's wrong. I need to do this. I need to be that in order to get them to. And it's the birth of codependence in many ways, where we get entangled with others' reactions. We create a story of, oh, if I just do this, everything will be okay. And then we're constantly looking for feedback as to whether or not we got it. Okay, I did that story well enough. It's working. They're picking me up. But the story was often wrong to start with. And the mind allies itself with this story of what should be or what should have been in the past, what should be present, future, or what should have been in the past. And you'll find out should have been was my personal hell. I was kind of queen of regret, going back and second guessing everything. But these mind-made conditions for what self, other, and life need to do are the source of human suffering. That the emotions in our bodies, even if they go way back to early trauma, are connected up to thoughts and to the way the neural wiring is set up so that we believe something, an interpretation of what's happening, and survival mind says, and that's bad. And so we get a flood of chemicals, and then it's like, then I need to do this to fix it. And a lot of times the whole thing is just happening in our minds. So that's, a very simplistic expression of what's happening. But by going back to the thinking, we can even unravel pre-language trauma, which in some ways those decisions have been connected up to what is happening to you now. Back then, again, we didn't have a way to figure it out. So we got hold of blame and shame. I'm either going to blame somebody else and believe they're the ones that are doing it to me, or I'm going to point the finger at myself. And so it's just like two sides of this same no-win coin. Neither one of them is the whole truth. Neither one of them solves the problem, but this is what we came to believe was the way out. So these polarities are what separate us from, I call soul, self, others, and life, and the ever-present love that really is here. So we flip to this no-win polarity of shame, which is anything pointed in at yourself. I'm lumping those together. No way out of stories of guilt, regret, fear, self-doubt, loathing, reactivity, judgment towards self. That was very much me, and I find that so many people have. Yeah, I've written a couple books about this now, which will be published soon, but they really have a go-to thing. You're either pointing the finger out and judging others and feeling like they're the problem, or you're always pointing at yourself. But guess what? Everybody has both. So even if your go-to place is pointing at yourself and going into beating yourself up, underneath that, if you stay with it, you will find that you're angry and resentful at others who are letting you down and you wish they were able to take your part more. So it flips over to blame, even though it often flies under the radar. And when people get into this work, they start to see both really clearly. The judgmental people realize that they are harder on themselves than on anyone. And the self-blaming people have to admit that they're pissed off about things and that they're angry and resentful. So everybody has both sides of these. And even though you may have done a lot of inner work to kind of reduce those and come closer and closer to the middle, This side being the judgment of others, no way out of fear, anger, need, victimization, judgment toward others in life. It turns out that there's a way that transcends all of that. So there is this 100% reliable way out where we compassionately neutralize the source of the suffering. If the thinking was the source of this blame, shame polarity, then just continuing to squelch our judgments doesn't really work because the brain is a judging machine. And so what we're doing here is capitalizing on those judgments. In fact, we'll be learning in the work of Byron Katie something called the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet. And we do that work with a slightly different twist, with a lot of focus on self-love and solidarity. But when we apply what I call the symmetry principle, just counting on the fact that whatever upsets you holds the key, then life keeps reflecting back our own polarized programming by way of our escalating reactions to people and situations. So if we don't take care of it, life gets bigger and louder, and it turns like chronic illness and divorce. And and as you start to clear things up, it gets a lot quieter in there, and you have less of those kinds of unexplained tragedy type events. And even when you do, you know what to do with your reaction. If it hurts, you know it's a gift, it's a way out. So we finally learn how to use our pain to expose the childlike errors in our own logic that were causing it. And what a revelation to question any belief that says we are in the presence of not love. So whatever is bothering you right now, it's kind of the simple way to say that is the mind is saying, well, this doesn't feel like love. This is bad. This is scary. This is wrong. This shouldn't be happening. And when you use anything like that, anything that feels like not love, and do this process, what you will find is that what is here is nothing but love.